He said, well, if you're affecting pain, he says, you need to be researching inflammation. You don't have arthritis, you don't have cancer, you don't have all these health disorders. What you have is chronic inflammation. To me at the time, inflammation was you sprain an ankle and it balloons up and gets red and sore and it's inflamed. And he says, no, he says, inflammation is different than that.
We have so much inflammation in the body, and it comes out in illnesses. We go to a doctor with all these complaints, but a lot of it is silent inflammation, including my specialty, heart disease. Heart disease is an inflammatory process. So how do we reduce inflammation?
The most abundant protein in the body is collagen. It's the building block of our tissues. And we have gazillions of collagen molecules in our bodies. They are all embedded in a gel. This gel has a huge surface area, and it absorbs electrons and releases them when you have an injury.
Inflammation is produced by neutrophils, which is a white blood cell. You have an injury, you have a damaged cell. And so these white blood cells come over and they encapsulate the damaged cell and they release reactive oxygen species, which rip electrons from the damaged cell, and that destroys the damaged cell.
White blood cells release free radicals at the injury site. They chew up any pathogens, bacteria, or dead cells. They clear the area. It's called the repair field. It's the place that needs to be repaired. Without earthing, some of the free radicals that are released into the repair field leak into the surrounding tissue.
If there's not enough free electrons there to reduce the remaining radicals, they're going to steal an electron from a healthy cell and in the process damage it. Then the message goes out to the immune system and another neutrophil does the same thing, eliminates that cell, and then you end up with a chain reaction.
And this can create chronic inflammation, silent inflammation. You may not even know it's there, and it continues for years.
If inflammation is the cause of all these health disorders, then I know that not enough rounding is the cause of inflammation, because if the body is grounded, you can't have inflammation.
We're bioelectrical beings. That's the currency of our body. That's how it works. That's how we run our biological systems, is by generating this electrical energy that's transferred. And when we connect to the Earth through a conductive surface in some way, there's a transfer of electrons that slowly go into our body.
We tried to figure out how much charge the body takes in when you touch the Earth. What happens is the body saturates with electrons practically instantaneously. It's so fast that you can't measure it. So electrons from the Earth enter the body right away, and they coat the red blood cells so that the cells repel each other. And then they can't clump, and the blood viscosity goes down. It's easier for the heart to pump the blood pressure goes down, all kinds of cardiovascular issues, they go away.
In situations where we are insulating ourselves from this surplus of electrons into our body, we're going to get the absolute opposite. So instead of having low levels of inflammation and a thin blood, we'll have thick blood that's more likely to clot, and our levels of inflammation tend to increase.
If you take a microscope and you look at a piece of wood and you go down, 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 all of a sudden there's nothing there. There's molecules, but they're not even connected. What's holding them together? What's the force that's holding everything together? Electromagnetism. Our body is electrical. This is all electronic equipment. The heart, the lungs, the brain. I mean, this is electrical equipment. It's all electrical. Everything is electrical.
Can we measure the effects reproducibly? The answer to that is yes. We now have 20 studies.
The light switch went on, and I thought, we're doing things completely backwards here. A typical day for a child is completely ungrounded. Most children wake up sleeping on a bed that was not grounded in a house or a building or on a floor that was insulated from the earth. And then they go immediately into a classroom that's insulated. And even on recess, in the recess period, they go outside and are literally fenced in and are paved with asphalt. And then they have after-school activities, which are either indoors or if they're outdoors, they are literally required to wear protective gear. And even if they're exercising for 2 hours after school, 100% disconnected from the earth. And then they go home and they go inside and they eat dinner and they do homework all hours of the night and then they pass out in an ungrounded bed. So that's a 24-hour period of time completely ungrounded, and that goes on day after day after day.
I was at a retreat weekend for a group of women. It's called Inspire through our national association. It's for teachers who don't take care of themselves, teaching us how to. The first day I got there and our leader said, you need to go ground. And I'm like, okay. They grounded us. And within that half hour, there was no need for medication, and I had been taking 2 Motrin every 4 hours for almost 3 weeks. The district that I am in already actually has, with Clinton, a school that has a grounding classroom. One of the reasons that the other teacher pushed so hard to get this room, she had a group of students that had significant behavior issues, and they would rip their shoes off and go running out of the room, and they would all over campus looking for them. They would always find them in the planters by the trees.
But I had one teacher tell me in a special ed class that they had runners. And what a runner is a kid who just runs out of the classroom and they take off and everybody has to go find where the student is. I realized that these kids who are the runners, they're running out to the far back corner of the school campus, and it's the only place that has grass, and they're sitting down on the grass.
And so I went back and I talked to my special education director, and I said, can we try this? Can we try this with some of our students with autism? I brought it into my room, and I have a student with autism, very severe autism. He's completely nonverbal. And, you know, it's a good day when I can get this child to sit for 10 seconds. I pulled my mat out, I cleaned it off, and I took his socks and shoes off, put his little feet on it. That boy sat for 7 minutes straight and played with me. He sat for 7 minutes straight. So I took that back to my boss, and that is something that our school district is looking into, is getting more schools with classrooms that have grounding in them.
I've heard stories from teachers in classes where their students are grounded that they have half the level of referrals for discipline. Some students who were in tears because they were experiencing success when before they were experiencing failure with their behavior and discipline. I've heard stories from teachers with autistic children who have been grounded, where they have less of what they call the meltdowns. And the meltdowns are less frequent and shorter, and they come back into the classroom and they're learning more than they had learned prior to the grounding.
How much of it is that they're just so out of control in their mind, and there's so many things that they, and these kids, our campus is concrete. There's no place. Even when they're in PE, they've got tennis shoes on. There's no place for them to be grounded.
It's amazing what happens, not just with the teacher at the front of the class, but what can happen with a student sitting in the class. And just think if every single student and every single teacher and every single classroom and every single school across this whole world was grounded.
It turns out there's a reason kids love to put their feet on the ground.
Natural phenomena, a remarkable natural phenomena that exists right beneath our feet. Earthing or grounding is about connecting to this natural resource And regardless of your condition, it can make you feel better. Here's the background. Throughout time, throughout history, humans were connected to the earth. We walked barefoot. We slept on natural animal hides. We were connected to the earth. But today, it's a different story. We sleep in elevated beds. We wear synthetic-soled shoes. And even our wheelchairs are insulating us.
When we began grounding Athena, a very progressive doctor had suggested I also try it. He told me to lie naked on the ground. It sounded ridiculous, but I did it anyway. And then everything changed. I began to sleep through the night, my energy level shifted, and I got my libido back. Over the next 6 months, I kept practicing grounding, and I lost 50 pounds.
Well, when children are sick and they get run down, they don't get good sleep, and they have inflammation in their body, she started grounding, and she started sleeping better. The grounding is reducing the inflammation. She's working with a significantly improved immune system. It's called immunotherapy. Get grounded and improve your immune system.
So the surprise side effect of grounding our daughter was I got grounded.
Right.
And as you can see, I've had a complete transformation. Can you explain what happened to me?
Yes. As soon as you get grounded, the first thing that happens, you quiet the sympathetic nervous system, and then eventually the adrenals will start to recover. But when your adrenals become exhausted because of too much stimulation here, then the sympathetic overdrives, and then you end up with adrenal fatigue, and that is the precursor to most all of these things, including weight gain.
I never would have believed that you and I would be sitting here having this conversation. Not in a million years. Have other women reported weight loss as a result of grounding?
Yes. Not to the point that I could come out and say, well, get grounded and you're going to lose weight. It starts up here and starts, getting the pain out of your body, getting the stress, the anxiety, the irritability, the depression out of the body. And then all of a sudden, the right hormones start to surface. Your energy comes up, metabolism comes up. It's, health is not something we really have to work on. We have to let it be. We have to take the things that are interfering with our health, that are compromising our immune system, and remove them from our life. And then the body will go back to normal.
There's a well-established, traditional, conventional system that relies on expensive intervention. So they'd like to perpetuate that, and they're not too interested in having some competition coming in for a lot less expensive to sort of sabotage their profit levels. Because their goal isn't to help humanity. Their goal is really, as corporations, is increase their profits. The question becomes, how much of an influence has lack of grounding been in the epidemic of disease that we have? Is this grounding a factor?
We have a pain epidemic, which has led to an opiate epidemic, a national crisis. So given the worldwide discomfort, unhealth, diseases, all of them are benefited by earthing.
The good thing about grounding is that you don't need a doctor to tell you to do it. You do not need a physician to recommend it to you. You can try this anytime. It is your birthright because you live on the earth.
I ground every day. Hey, I want to be connected to the earth as much as I can.
I would say about 95% of the day I am grounded because I believe it's just a no-brainer.
Go outdoors, take your shoes off, stand barefoot on the earth, or sit on the earth, put your feet and your hands on the earth, and you will instantly notice the pain and inflammation begin to drain from your body. I got my life back is probably the most common refrain that I hear. Thank you, I got my life back. I got my life back.